For what purpose does the gentleman from California rise?
To strike the last word.
Gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Mr. Chairman and my colleagues, I rise in strong opposition to this bill. I hope the press and the American people are paying attention to what's going on the House floor. I know the news is all about raising the debt ceiling and all the cuts or revenues that might be involved before we can get legislation to do something that has been routinely done, almost automatically done, every year or two for decades. But what is happening on the House floor deserves the attention of the American people. This is the most anti-environmental House of Representatives in history. The new Republican majority seems intent on restoring the robber baron era, where there were no controls on pollution from power plants, oil refineries, and factories. This year, we've witnessed weather disaster after weather disaster. There have been massive floods, record-breaking fires, record-breaking droughts, and now record-breaking heat waves. Yet earlier this year, the House passed a bill that repealed EPA's scientific finding that climate change is occurring, is caused by man, and is a serious threat. We don't hear about the connection between these weather events and climate change and carbon emissions. We're not hearing from it when we watch the daily news shows, and we're not hearing it from this administration. I just sent recently a letter to Secretary Chu, the Secretary of Energy, a Nobel Prize winner, asking him to speak out. We need to educate the American people so we can educate our colleagues here in the House of Representatives. In this bill, the Republican majority wants to block EPA from issuing regulations to reduce carbon emissions from power plants and oil refineries that are causing this catastrophic climate change. The majority also wants to block regulations to cut carbon pollution from motor vehicles, even though these regulations help break our dangerous dependence on oil, save American families money, and clean the air we breathe. This House can deny science. We can amend our nation's laws, but we cannot rewrite the laws of nature. The longer we ignore the scientific reality that our actions are destabilizing the environment, destabilizing our climate, the more costly and disruptive our response will need to be, and the more we endanger our children's future. When we were debating carbon regulations earlier this year, my colleagues on the other side of the aisle claimed that they supported reductions in what they call real air pollution, whatever that means. But it turns out they are gutting those protections as well. This legislation includes a provision that will block landmark rules to protect the health of our children by cutting air pollution and reducing toxic mercury pollution. The bill blocks cross-state air pollution rules, an important rule that is designed to prevent dirty power plants in one state from contributing to air quality problems in other downwind states. EPA estimates that this rule will prevent up to 34,000 premature deaths and nearly 2 million sick days a year beginning in 2014. The bill indefinitely delays mercury and air toxic standards for power plants. Mercury is a potent neurotoxin that damages brain developments in infants and children, impairing our ability to think and learn. EPA's mercury rule will clean up this pollution and prevent 17,000 premature deaths each year. Republicans like to argue that environmental regulations must be justified by a rigorous cost-benefit analysis. Well, these regulations have been thoroughly analyzed, and their benefits are 10 times greater than their costs, and yet they want to stop those regulations from going into place. These essential health protections are not being targeted because they are too costly. They are being targeted because they are opposed by powerful special interests like oil companies and electric utilities. We need to stop putting the special interests ahead of the public interest. This bill poses a choice. Are we for protecting pregnant women, infants, and children from toxic pollution, or are we for protecting the profits of special interests? A strong and vital EPA is in our national interest and the public interest. If we disarm EPA, as this bill would do, there is no one to stand up to the
Gentleman's time has expired.
and protect American
For what
families.
purpose does the gentleman